Today, we're going to dive into a case out of Orange County, Florida, that really makes you think. It raises some tough, pretty uncomfortable questions about our justice system and where we draw the line between mercy and public safety. So here's the headline that kicked off a firestorm. A convicted felon who was just accused of attempted sexual battery was let out on a bond of just $9,500. It just left the entire community asking one thing: how in the world did this happen? To figure that out, we've really got to look closely at the case of Jacoby Vontell Tillman. And remember, this isn't just some abstract legal debate. This is a real situation that had very real consequences for people in Orange County, Florida. Okay, so let's get our bearings real quick. You've got the defendant, Jacoby Tillman. He's facing this very serious charge of attempted sexual battery. The judge making the call is Elaine Barbour, and this is all going down in Orange County. Those are the pieces of the puzzle we need to keep in our heads. Now, to really understand the weight of Judge Barbour's decision, you absolutely have to look at the defendant's background, because this new charge, well, it wasn't just some isolated incident. It was part of what the source material describes as a very clear and very troubling pattern. Just look at this timeline. It shows a really disturbing trend. Tillman is already a convicted felon. He's already served prison time. Then, in 2022, he gets convicted of battery for groping a female runner. So you can see how that history makes his arrest in July 2024 for attempted sexual battery even more alarming. And this all leads us to the moment that matters most: the bond hearing. With that criminal record laid out plain as day for the court, state prosecutors argued for pretrial detention. Basically, keep him in jail with no bond at all until his trial. But what happened next? Well, that's what makes this case so head-scratching. Get this, in court, Judge Barbour herself used a really powerful word to describe Tillman's history. She called his record atrocious. Not concerning, not problematic, atrocious. I mean, that's a super strong, unambiguous word coming from the person holding the gavel. So let me ask you, if a judge looks at a defendant's record and calls it atrocious, what kind of bond would you expect for a new charge of attempted sexual battery? Remember, the prosecutors, looking at the exact same facts, were arguing for no bond whatsoever. The answer? $9,500. Yep. Despite calling his record atrocious, Judge Barbour denied the state's request and set that bond. And Tillman walked out of jail the very next day. This decision left a lot of legal experts just stunned. Former Chief Judge Belvin Perry called it a tough case under any circumstances, and he basically said that given the defendant's history and this new offense, the ruling was almost impossible to understand. I mean, even the pros were baffled. So, as you can imagine, the reaction was swift, and it was strong. This decision didn't just raise a few eyebrows, it sparked a full-blown official outcry from people whose job it is to ensure public safety, and it created some very real fear in the community. The state attorney's office, the ones who argued against his release in the first place, they made their position crystal clear. State Attorney Monique Worrell came right out and said that her office believed Tillman's release was not appropriate and that he was a clear danger to the public. And then you have the human cost. The victim from Tillman's 2022 battery case voiced the fear that was really on everyone's mind. She said she felt afraid and uneasy. And she asked the one question that just cuts right to the heart of this whole debate. What if this happens to someone else? So, how can we even begin to make sense of a decision like this? Well, the analysis we're drawing from suggests it's a clash between two really powerful competing ideas: the legal principle of justice and the very human influence of personal sentiment. This whole analysis really centers on the idea of social justice. And let's be clear, not as a political term, but in its classic legal sense, the impartial, objective application of the law, designed to protect everyone in the community, fair and square. So here's the core tension. Right. On one side, you've got this idea of impartial justice. It's supposed to be based on objective facts and the duty to protect the public. But on the other side, the source argues, you have personal sentiment, things like sympathy, or maybe a feeling of forgiveness that can kind of cloud a judge's main job. So the bottom line from this analysis is that this ruling looks like a case where personal sentiment might have gotten in the way of the duty to uphold social justice. The argument is that an excess of sympathy or an inappropriate sense of forgiveness led to an outcome that, in their words, common sense would find patently ridiculous. So why does this one case in Florida matter to the rest of us? Well, the key takeaway is this. Public officials, especially judges, have a duty to be impartial. Their whole role is to be the bedrock of public safety. And this analysis argues that personal feelings, no matter how well-intentioned, can't be allowed to get in the way of that fundamental responsibility.